All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we have a special edition Seven Figure Seller Summit. I'm super excited to have Liz Saunders with us. Welcome, Liz. How are you?
Thank you, Gary. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's my pleasure. And today, Liz will give you a master class on how to elevate your business by unleashing the power of Amazon influencers. I think this is really key. It's like a hidden lever that not too many Amazon sellers are using right now. So today, Liz is going to cover a lot of new content. You're going to learn about the Amazon influencer program, revenue streams, shoppable content, optimized listings for influencers, finding the right influencers, and also sharing some success stories. And Liz has some breaking news as well. I was just chatting with her before the call, and then she has some exciting updates, especially for international marketplaces. So super excited, Liz. Before we get started, Liz, can you share who's this training for and why is it so important?
Absolutely. So this training is for Amazon sellers, right? And the reason that it's important is because Amazon doesn't give us a lot of clarity kind of across the different parts of the ecosystem. And so this is part of our giving between the two different parts of like the Amazon silos and how we keep up so that we can all win together.
Excellent, excellent. And like typically, like who's this for? Is it for like established sellers or can, someone new off the bat, take advantage of this? Like what would you
That's a
say,
great
Liz?
question. I would say established sellers will probably see the best tangible results. The data that we don't yet have, again, because it's very new in way of data sharing across between the sellers and the influencers. I think there's probably a conversation that we have over this next period of time about launching with influencer content on your product listing. But based on the information that we currently have, people who are established and have a listing that has a decent number of views every month are going to see the most like direct impact from influencer content.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, so before we get started, if you can please mute your mics so we can maintain the quality of the call. And if you do have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll have some time to cover questions at the end. And yes, we will have a recording of this as well. So everyone that RSVP'd will get a replay. And then if you guys can type in your name and where you're joining us from, this way we'll know. And Liz, where are you joining us from, by the way?
Yeah, Austin, Texas. So I don't
Austin.
know if anybody else has like the evening hours or if you guys are all morning, but yeah, Austin.
Yeah, if you can just let us know where you guys are joining us from. Welcome Rachel from Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte from Sydney,
I like that.
Australia. Let's see if we can have a Sydney from some. We can keep
Yeah.
that chain going. Bruna from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Okay, going to bed soon.
Going to
Thank you
bed
for
soon.
joining us, Bruna. You're probably in your PJs, so
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool. Excellent. Okay, so we usually have a pretty worldwide audience. So okay, quick introduction of Liz. So for those of you guys that are meeting Liz Saunders for the first time, she's been in the Amazon space for almost a decade, from seller side to influencer. And now she's working to help both sellers and influencers succeed with the Amazon Influencer Program. And she's also a mom of 3 teenagers, wife to Adam, and the founder of Fluencer Fruit. And Fluencer Fruit provides tools and coaching for Amazon influencers and helps Amazon sellers learn about how to best connect with Amazon influencers. All right. So also welcome to Darren from Thailand, Lawrence from Florida. Okay.
Nice.
We have a world audience. So yes, without further ado, Liz, I know you got a lot to cover. So would you like to go ahead and get started with our training today and share screen?
Absolutely. So everyone, I'm going to do my best. I'm just going to take a minute and rearrange my screen because as soon as you share your screen on Zoom, it gets rid of all of your chat and everything else so you can't see anybody. So Thank you for coming out and joining us tonight. I know for those of you in Brazil and Florida, we're getting towards the later evening hours. And for those of you on the other side of the globe, hopefully this is a great way to wake up and join us for your coffee. So always fun to see the Amazon community out all over the world. So as Gary said, my name is Liz, and I have been in the Amazon ecosystem for almost a decade now. I am the mother of 3 teenagers. So in case you wonder what I do in my free time, I am a taxi. And tonight I want to talk to you about what Gary mentioned in the intro, which is that I've moved over. I spent 6 years working at Jungle Scout, so I've spent a significant amount of time in the seller space. And when I started kind of messing around with Amazon Influencer 2 years ago, it just kind of all of a sudden popped out to me that there was a lot that pertained to the seller side of things that was happening in the influencer side of the world. And so in May of this year, I left Jungle Scout and started doing Fluencer Fruit full time. And so I'm excited to tell you guys, and like Gary said, I actually have updated case study numbers from sellers we've been working with that I actually have not shown the data to anybody up to this point. So you guys get like the world premiere of influencer seller case study numbers that I actually have now. So I'm very excited about that.
Love it. Excellent. Can't wait.
All right. So as we get started, I want to talk first about what Amazon Influencer isn't, right? And so just really quickly, it's not a duplicate of the associates program. The associates program being the affiliate where people are driving traffic from offsite to Amazon. So it's not about that. The other difference that matters mostly to influencers is that they don't get a 24-hour cookie for the entire cart like an associate would. Amazon influencers get a small commission off of one item, and it just comes from that shoppable content that we'll talk about in a minute. So for the purpose of our conversation today, when I say the word influencer, it immediately brings something to your mind. Whatever that is, usually TikTok or Instagram influencer pushing traffic to Amazon. I just want you to take that and put it on the shelf for our conversation tonight, because while the Amazon Influencer program does have influencers in it, it is a little bit of a misnomer in that it's not people driving traffic. So we're just going to put that on the shelf for right now, and we're going to move over. And tonight we're very specifically going to talk about the influencer program. So when I say influencer, this is what we're talking about. And it is an offshoot of the associates program. So a lot of content creators who are in the influencer program are also affiliates. So they do both, but the program is just very focused on shoppable content that is approved for placement on the Amazon ecosystem. So on product listings, on these different placements that Amazon has approved them for. And the actual program is a group of content creators that Amazon themselves have approved to create this content that then can live on Amazon. It's a pretty unique part of the Amazon world, because there are not many other places where you can get really solid content like this that lives on Amazon, that they have given us permission and have monetized for people to upload. To give a little bit of additional context, Amazon's stated purpose for the Amazon Influencer program is to help buyers make more confident buying decisions, right? And so that's another way when you're thinking about the influencer program to kind of think about it. If an associate's goal is to drive traffic to listings, to Amazon, then in seller speak, the Amazon influencer's goal is to convert that traffic. We're helping shoppers make confident buying decisions, and it's content that they come across as they are perusing Amazon. So it pops up in the places where they're thinking about purchases, right? And just very quickly, the Amazon Influencer Program is both FTC compliant and also Amazon Terms of Service compliant. And unlike programs like the Vine program, which has a place in our world, you can actually talk to influencers, right? So I can almost hear you guys groaning through Zoom, right? If you've used the Vine program, you know that it's a little bit like a black box, and it is necessary a lot of times when you're launching and those sorts of things to get those written reviews from approved Vine reviewers as you're launching. But you send the product, they're not required to do the written review. Sometimes they don't understand what your product is. Sometimes they don't do the review, and you can't actually reach out to them and resolve any questions they have. The influencer program is totally different because we're covered by FTC and by terms of service. You're actually allowed to talk to us. And if you have an influencer on one of your product listings who maybe misunderstood something, you can reach out to them and have them help them get that corrected. So those are the things that the Amazon Influencer Program is. So let's talk a little bit now about shoppable content, right? Because I mentioned that Amazon Influencer is a program of content creators who are creating shoppable content. And shoppable content is just exactly what it sounds like. It is content that Amazon allows us to upload to the Amazon ecosystem with an ASIN tagged in it, at least one, sometimes more. And you tag whatever product or products you are talking about in the video. Now, sometimes you'll hear people call these video reviews. Sometimes you'll hear them call, just kind of like unboxing videos. But truly, this content can be anything that Amazon finds helpful to that shopper, right? And so we like to be concise and say shoppable content, but really you'll hear people call these a lot of different things. So the three main types of content, I'm going to start over here with my shoppable photo. It is just exactly what it sounds like. It is a photo of products, and then the influencer can tag the products that are in that picture. The next one down here at the bottom is live streams. And I know this is what a lot of people are very familiar with, is the live streams that Amazon influencers can do. So I have that down there. This one was one that I was doing on clothes sometime around Prime Day. And you can tag as many products as you are, talking about in that live. And then there's shoppable videos. And this is really the gold standard, or where the magic happens in this program. So when we get a little bit farther down about placements and what we can tell you as moving the needles for sellers and conversions and those sorts of things, it's the shoppable video. It really has made a huge impact on the product listings and how they're performing. So those are the types of content. Now, where can they be placed, right? Because you've heard me say Amazon lets us upload these, and then they get placed all over the Amazon, .com. They're just rolling out Canada, guys, just like sneak peek. But wherever this video is placed, we're going to talk about that. So the very first place, and this is the shoppable video still, is going to be if you are brand registered and you have a product video in that main image carousel, it creates this pop-up, and this is the upper carousel. So on this carousel, you'll see videos for this product. That's the brand video. And then these related videos, these are actually Amazon influencers who have created content for this exact listing, right? Now, Amazon is also testing underneath this customer review videos. But boy, are we going to want to talk if you have a customer that didn't get your product or left you a bad review video, because by adding influencer videos here, you can push those customer videos down so they're not the first thing that people see in this carousel, right? All right, the next placement is again on the product listing page. Amazon has amazingly given us two different locations on the product listing page if you're brand registered and have that upper carousel. The lower carousel shows up regardless of if you have the upper carousel, minus fashion and shoes. For some reason, Amazon does not have lower carousels that look like this on those categories, but they do have something that they are kind of implementing to take the place of that. But if you go in a different category down below the fold, you can see this is just below that product information table. This is what we call the lower carousel, and this has videos for this product. So those are going to be brand, customer, and Amazon influencers all kind of wrapped into one place. And as you scroll over on this lower carousel, you'll get to related products. And this truly is related products, not related videos. So it's talking about competitors' products or other listings that are like this. So all in that lower carousel. All right. If I could see you guys and have you raise your hands, I would say how many of you have seen the Inspire and the Discover feeds, right? Inspire launched about this time last year, and it's Amazon's effort to compete with like TikTok Shop, and TikTok made me buy it, and like kind of shoppable vertical shorts basically. And so I do not know this gentleman, but I keep him in my slide deck because it makes me smile that this is his shoppable photo in the Inspire feed. He wore fake grass, and then he tagged a bunch of fake grass down here. So as you're scrolling, if you come across this and decide you want fake grass, you can click through and he would make a small commission from this. And then I did include one of my shoppable photos down here, which is just my favorite Regina Spektor album, and my record player that I have tagged here. But these show up mostly in the Inspire feed. And so if you look at like your app for the .com down here, you'll see you've got your home button. And then right now it looks like a little bit of a sparkle. It was still a light bulb when I took this, but now it looks like a sparkle. That's your Inspire feed. And you can scroll it, and it's, fed by the algorithm. So it's fed by what you've purchased, what you also liked in the stream, all those things. So that's on the Inspire feed. The Discover feed is kind of interesting if you haven't seen it yet. And it is the fashion and shoes, like shoppable thread, basically. But Amazon is also taking, because you can go like through categories to home or to fashion and beauty and find the Discover feed. But they also use the Discover feed as a way to populate that lower carousel on mobile and on desktop for the fashion listings. So like this is a screenshot of one of my shoppable photos on the listing for this top, basically. So they pull the content in all these different places. Gary, I saw you come off mute. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, you asked the question, who has heard of Amazon Inspire? So if you have, can you type yes in the chat? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Yeah, please let us know if you have. If you have not, just type no. This way we can do an informal poll.
Okay.
Okay. And then,
let's
see. So, so if I understand this correctly, this is like new, like completely new to me. I mean, I'm a total novice when it comes to this. Is this like Amazon's attempt to do like a TikTok flow, right?
Yeah.
Like AI, like, generated, so it knows like, hey, you bought this, I don't know, like this top, and then it's going to show you it's like some shoes to match with it, right? Like something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Excellent.
Yep.
All right.
The thing that they don't have, and they also have on Inspire like shoppable videos that they are doing, like vertical shorts that are really the attempt to compete with like TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But from the influencer side, we don't see a ton of conversions on the vertical shorts. But it's also, Amazon doesn't give us any reporting that says like, oh, we showed your post on Inspire today and it got this many reviews or views or anything else. Like, we just kind of have no idea when they bring it up in the Inspire feeds. So it's kind of a guessing game.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to our quick informal poll.
Yes.
So Oksana says yes. Julie, no. Rachel, no. Darren, no. Bruna, never. Charlotte, no. Lawrence, no. So there you have it.
There we
almost
have
nobody.
It.
Yeah, almost nobody has heard of this.
So my bonus question was going to be bonus points if you've ever bought something that you saw in the Inspire feed, but I think we can probably guess no based on our survey here.
Yeah. Oksana, if you bought something, please let us know because you're the only one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Excellent. Oksana says nope. LOL.
No. Yeah. Me neither. And
Yeah. I mean, Liz, one of the questions that popped up, and maybe you'll cover this as part of the presentation later. Are you going to walk us through like what sort of products work well for the Amazon Influencer program? What products don't work so well? Will you cover that later?
Yeah, actually, I will talk about that when we talk about like how to work with influencers, because truly it's not necessarily a category. It's how you have your product listing set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
So,
get to that then. Okay, good
yeah.
stuff. Let's keep going. Thanks, Liz.
All right. Absolutely. Thanks for unmuting. Um, all right. So kind of like the second to last place we have here for where Amazon influencer content shows up is the Amazon live streams page. And again, I think this is probably the portion of the program that most people are familiar with because live streaming, of course, is huge and everybody wants, live streams, including their products. And so there is actually on Amazon a live streams page. And if people are live, they have an opportunity to be featured by Amazon, kind of like at the top of the page here. But if not, it shows up on the lives will also show up on influencers' storefronts, which is like, it looks like this basically. This is the top of my storefront. And you'll see on the storefronts, you've got idea lists, photos, videos, and live streams. So everything that an Amazon influencer creates does actually live on their storefront. And you can actually search their content now. I'm not going to say that the search that Amazon has implemented on the storefront is amazing, but if you're curious, if an influencer that you find, and I'll show you how to find us here towards the end of the presentation, but if an influencer that you find, if you're wondering if they've created content that would work for a dog or for a toddler or those sorts of things, you can actually search our storefronts and it will bring up anything that we've done that fits that search. It has to be pretty exact right now, but I think they are getting better with that search criteria. And the last place that I wanted to show you that Amazon puts influencer content, I've just named this miscellaneous. And the reason for this is these are the things that we see Amazon test, but we don't consistently see just kind of like as a rule. So some of the examples I have here for you, this is a coat rack hanger. Coat rack hanger? Coat rack. It's a coat rack that does not have a product video from the seller, but I created a shoppable video for it. If you look down here on the listing, you'll see I'm the only video and I'm showing up in mobile, which is pretty stellar. So we've seen them test, if you don't have a product video, we've seen them test influencers as your product video, which is pretty cool as an influencer to get the main spot on the page. The other thing that we've recently seen them test is influencer videos in the search results. So this is a mobile feed, right? And a friend of mine actually just kind of randomly came across this. She was searching for an iPad case, and I love my iPad case. So I created this shoppable videos like almost 2 years ago now. It was one of my very first videos. And she sent it to me. This is fascinating because the influencer content shows up in the search results and it plays in the search results. So people can actually learn about your product if the influencer has created content for it and tagged your ASIN while searching on mobile. I mean, it's pretty wild, right? So these are, again, just kind of miscellaneous because they're not consistent. But the takeaway that I have from the miscellaneous ones is while I can talk to you all day about results on the product listing page, and we can talk about what we think is happening on Inspire, one of the most exciting parts about the Amazon influencer program is that Amazon is consistently testing stuff like this in places that sellers actually can't pay for, can't get yet, right? Like, so you have brands that are buying UGC, user-generated content videos, and then putting them under the brand name and running money to them, right? Doing sponsored campaigns to them. But this iPad company that I just happen to love their case for, this is basically like a sponsored ad spot that people pay for with, videos, being able to push those. So that's the part that I think is kind of like hard to quantify and super exciting in the Amazon space. All right. So let's start getting into some of the numbers, right? And why does this matter to sellers, right? All of this is really cool. Like, great. Now we've got a new thing on Amazon. We've got influencers creating content. But I want to give you some statistics to just kind of like back up our conversation with data, right? And so the first point here is that video is better than text, right? So 96% of consumers find video helpful when making purchasing decisions. The most interesting part, though, is that 79% of online shoppers would rather watch a video than read the text. So when we're thinking about how we're going to optimize our product listings, it has to include video. It's just the era we live in, right? So the next point here is UGC video is better than brand videos. Now, I'm going to say that with a little bit of a grain of salt. The brand videos are super important and they convert. And if you don't have one on your product listing yet, if I can get you to take anything away from tonight, please go create a product video for your listing and upload it really soon, right? Amazon Influencer is basically like user-generated content that Amazon is allowing to live on your product listing, right? Those top of the page placements are gold. If you think about the fact that 76% of consumers believe that user-generated content is more trustworthy than brand content, you start to be able to see how these things all work together, right? Video is better than text. UGC video converts better than brand videos. But then I pulled for you guys some statistics from the back end of Seller Central, because these are things that Amazon is actually telling us. Again, I'm just going to use the word wild, which I think is wild, like that Amazon is sharing these stats. But the first one here is what it used to say in the manage videos portion in Seller Central, which is set up your detail pages for success and increase sales by up to 9.7%. So that's Amazon talking about the product video that you as the brand can upload to your listing, right? Okay, so again, tie that into your brand video is 9.7%. What's that UGC video doing for your product listing, right? So I looked today and actually Amazon has changed it. So now it just says, get the most out of the peak season, improve your listings with videos. It can increase sales, reduce returns, and drive customer engagement. So they've taken that 9.7% away for right now. Yeah, so they're going to maybe something a little bit more anonymous or a little bit more vague. But today, on the bottom of that same page, it says that uploading informative videos can reduce returns by more than 40% when viewed. Okay, so when we're putting all of this together, we're going to talk about like what types of things influencers can talk about when you proactively work with them, and returns is one of the things. So just as a really quick example of how influencer content can help reduce returns, just like brand videos can, was working with a seller who had a back, something for your back, right? Like if you spend all day on your computer. And he said one of his main challenges was returns, because people use it for a month, but they don't realize that it's going to be basically like a 3-month process before they really see results. Having an Amazon influencer create a video where they're talking about their experience with that back product can help bring down those returns, right? Because you've got somebody who's actually using it, not just the brand, talking about what their results were in month 1, in month 2, in month 3, right? You can see where this is going. So let's talk about those hot off the press stats that I promised you guys. I have 2 case studies on this next slide. And I know that you're going to look at the numbers immediately, right? Because I couldn't figure out a better way to like do the unveiling here. So we're just going to throw all the numbers out there. You can look at them and get as excited as I am about them. But case study number 1, we did a case study. It started in May and we're just starting our second round with this particular seller. And they have basically like a paper goods, invitations, that type of product. And what we did was they had no Amazon influencers on their listing when we launched the campaign. And so they had just their product video. And what we did was we took 6 influencers and we had them all create content for 5 of this seller's listings. And we had them upload the 6 videos to all of the listings in the same week. So as you guys know, being able to isolate cause and effect on Amazon can be challenging, right? Because it's hard to basically like narrow down it was this exact one thing. So we controlled as many of the variables as we could in this case study. So they didn't change any PPC. They didn't do any additional like offsite pushes. They just left the listing as it was. And we dropped 6 influencers worth of content onto that product listing. And this is what we saw. This is the triple in sales, guys. This was their month before we did it. They did 229 units, and the month after they did 445, right? You can see their sales almost double here. But I was talking to him and he was like, oh, I was like, is it seasonal? Like maybe did we hit? Because that felt like kind of even too good to be true for me, right? Like I knew there was a connection, but I was like, those don't, is it seasonal? Are you high like this every year? And he said no. And so he sent me the same 30 days last year. And this is where you see it triple. They went from 130 units with this listing to 445. So they were 3x year over year with no other changes other than just adding Amazon influencers to their product listing, right? So that one was super fascinating. He and I are actually working on a second round to replicate these results with 5 new listings. And this time we did choose seasonal products. So I'll let you know how those come out. But this is like our first round of data and being able to start to see what the impact was. Now, Gary, to your question earlier, what kind of seller is this for? This was a particular listing that had lots of traffic, but their conversion rate was low. So when we added influencers to it, we were answering questions, we were talking about the quality, we were talking about like the design work, and that was what seems to have driven this increase, right? But where I'm going with that is you do want traffic to your listing, right? If you want to see those tangible results. So launch versus established seller, I think there's value for you at launch. But when you want to see this type of data, it's going to be if you're an established seller and you have traffic, either PPC, offsite affiliates, however you're driving that traffic, you have that traffic that just needs like that extra boost in your conversion, right? So case study 1, those were his results. And again, they had no influencers on that product listing when we launched this campaign. So this was basically like our 6 influencers were the only influencer videos on that product listing. Now, case study number 2, this is a little bit different because she's a Shark Tank seller. So she has these huge influxes of views on her page whenever her episode re-airs. So what you're going to see with her case study is she already had a lot of influencers creating content for her because of her sales, because people see it on Shark Tank, they buy it, they create shoppable content for it. So I just wanted to show you somebody who, even if you already have a bunch of influencers on your page, what proactively working with an influencer can do. So we took her, and these are before and after numbers for her campaign. And she averages, let's call it 50,000 views a month on her product listing, right? And again, sometimes that ebbs up because there's a re-air of the episode, and sometimes it's a little lower because she hasn't had a rerun in a while. But just before we ran the campaign, her conversion rate was 3.09%. And forgive my decimal points to the like 100th here. I like a lot of data with, exact numbers. But then you can see like right after that campaign ran, her conversion rate jumped up to 4.38%. And we did the same thing with her. We took 6 influencers and we said, these are the questions people ask. These are the reasons she gets returns. These are the things that people are knocking off that are not as good. We want to talk about the quality of this product. And we moved that needle for her. She didn't have any other changes other than just our 6 influencers jumping on like at that point in time. Now, again, you can do some rough math based on like price point of the product. But if you have 50,000 people hitting your product listing and you convert an extra 1.29% of them, it's a pretty big jump in your overall revenue. So yeah, those are the things that I'm most excited about. Gary, hit me.
That's super, super exciting. Being able to triple sales, and also boost conversion rates. from 3 to 4%. That's like 1% gain. That's like 33% gain if my math is right. In terms of the content of the videos,
Mhm.
Liz, what sort of content did the influencers create? Was it just like a product review, or was it like a
Mm,
hype video, or like could you share some more about that?
absolutely. Yeah. So usually we ask them for basically a review, right? And again, kind of the nice thing about this is if you are like, hey, working with the influencer, you can ask them for certain things, right? What we asked of them was a 1 to 2 minute shot in horizontal, kind of like full length review of the product. And then we told them things that we would like for them to observe. So one of the things that I tell people is influencer content is powerful because it's organic and it's authentic, right? And so when we work directly with brands, what I always don't want to do is give them a script, right? Because then it kind of robs them of the opportunity to speak about it the way that like feels natural. And it is part of, again, like the magic of the influencer program is people can show up, talk about things that they like in the way that works for them. But what we do ask of them is like, hey, these are the 3 things that I'd like you to observe when you unbox and work with this product, and talk about your experience with that feature, or, whatever the case is. So I would probably consider them like review videos are the ones that we did. But from an influencer side, without having numbers for this on the seller side, because it's not a seller that I work with, it's just a seller that I've created content for their product. Like I can tell you things that I see a lot of success with for like number of reviews and number of products that I get commission for, unboxings and assembly videos, right? Like, so if your product, my videos that do the best are the products that need a little bit of explanation, right? So the case study one, it doesn't need a lot of explanation. It's a relatively simple product. It highlighted something, but the ones that I do best on are like my under the desk treadmill, right? It was a $200 or $300 product. I can't remember. I did a video showing like how I unboxed it, how I set it up. And then I talk about like how long I can walk on it, how fast I can walk before I can't type, and those types of things. Like those videos for me, even though they're much longer, like I think my under the desk treadmill video is like 5 minutes. People watch like 60% of it and buy the treadmill. It's like, it's kind of crazy. I know I'm not my target market because I don't watch a 5-minute video on Amazon usually, but it does really well.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. Let's keep going.
All right, let's do it. We're close. So let's talk about, now that we've talked about all these things and you're like, Liz, I love it. Yes, I am ready to work with influencers. Let me show you how you can do it, right? Okay. So I'm going to ad lib here just for a minute. I'm going to go over to Amazon really quick because I want to show you how to find the storefront. Because you can find the storefront, and from the storefront, you can actually find the influencer's storefront from the product listing. So let's go here really fast. Again, we're going to go into this upper carousel, and we're going to just kind of like take a guess. So we're just going to pick this influencer, and you can see down here, we've got earns commission underneath her name. So any influencer that you see is going to have this basically like earns commission. That's how Amazon is FTC compliant for these videos. Now, if I click on this, it's going to take me to her storefront, right? Now, this, as sellers, you will understand as what an amazing thing it is that Amazon lets us do this. This is a link to her Instagram post or her Instagram page, which is the only time Amazon ever lets us push traffic off of Amazon, right? And so if you go to her Instagram page, you can actually message her over here, right? So when you are looking for influencers, I recommend you go to product listings, both yours and also to your competitors. Or if you just find somebody on a random product listing and you just like their content, go to their storefront, find their social and message them there, right? So like on mine, you'll see I have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm super active on Instagram, not as much on the others. So when you're looking for those locations, I would click through their socials real fast and just see which one they're actually active on. But then you can message them. And here are my tips for reaching out to influencers. They get 100 messages a day from agents who rep 200, 300 products, who are just transactionally looking for influencers to create content. So as the brand owner or somebody working within the seller's organization, I would state that to them just so that they know that there is a more value added conversation that you're looking to have, right? You're invested in the product and the brand. You're not trying to get them to create 100 videos for these 200 products or whatever the case is, right? So when you reach out to them, talk to them about the value that you think they will bring to your brand as an Amazon influencer. Now, there's one more place that you can find influencers, and that is creator connections. I would love, again, just a really informal poll in the chat. Give me a yes, no if you're in creator connections already. Give me a yes if you are and a no if you're not. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Julie's had good luck with it. I like that. Oksana, not yet. Okay. Excellent. So good. No to Joe. Okay. So creator connections is invite only. So for those of you who aren't in yet, I'm not sure on the brand side. Oh, Marissa says Amazon hasn't been able to activate it for me. Huh. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Since it's invite only on the seller side and on the influencer side, not every seller and not every influencer is in here, right? But if you have gotten the invite and you can see creator connections, this is a great place to find influencers. Now, they say that it's for influencers. It's really more for associates because the campaigns are for people pushing traffic, or it has been up to this point. But if you're working with an associate who's creating offsite content for you, it's worth asking them if they're also an influencer and can create on-site content for you as well. So just in case you haven't seen the back end, this is from the influencer side, and I've got it clipped pretty tight because our terms of service, they don't let us share a lot. But on my side, I can connect with brands, and this is all set by you as the seller. What's your budget? How long do you want the campaign to run? What commission rate do you want to add to what the influencer is making? So this is going to be additional, right? And how many creators you want to work with, and then what your budget is here, right? And so you can see, like when I took this screenshot, there were 99 plus new opportunities. I had completed 2 campaigns. I met some really cool sellers through creator connections. But my best tip as you start working with people who are on the other side is, I don't think creator connections is super new, but it feels like a V1 of the portal. In that, like in the chat between sellers and influencers, there's not like a notification that one or the other has responded. So if you are working actively on campaigns, my best tip is to check in every day, check your chat, check with influencers, and just make sure that you are proactively having those conversations as opposed to relying on the actual portal to push notifications to you. So those are the places that you can find us as influencers. And with that, Gary, we can open back up for questions. I'm going to put this up for you guys. Gary and I have a page here set up for you. It's fluencerfruitconnect.com/8020. We've got a discount set up for you if you want it. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But mostly what I want to tell you is if you have questions that we don't get to here in this next little bit while Gary and I are taking questions, you can always email me, liz@fluencerfruit.com, and I'm happy to help. So
Thank you very much, Liz. And I just dropped the link to fluencerfruitconnect.com/8020. And Liz, I believe you're going to offer a discount to our community. Is that right?
yes. So At Fluencer Fruit, we just basically, like, I just showed you how to find influencers, and listen, if you want to go do that, you can. If you're like, Liz, that does not appeal to my personality, please just white glove this for me. I have in my agency like 200 influencers who I know the quality of their content, and I can just basically like walk you through the process where from the time you send the product, after that, my team handles it, and so that you don't have to. So we've got a 10% discount for, oh, good. Thank you for dropping that in there. Yep, we've got a 10% discount for you guys set up, whether you are watching this on the replay or you're watching us live on that page. And I'll actually pull it up too so that you can see it. There's a place where you can book a call and get basically an audit with myself or a member of my team to go through your product listing and talk to you just kind of like about some things that maybe would help organically attract influencers, and also see if you're at a point where it makes sense to proactively work with Amazon influencers.
Excellent. And I believe, I mean, Liz dropped a ton of value today, those tips, how to find the influencers, how to look for that button. And then if you want to do it yourself, I mean, by all means. But if you want to get some help, if you want to, delegate this out, I think Liz and her team are super qualified. I think she's one of the few people, if not the only person, that's talking about this. So that's why when I found out about it, and the data and the case study that they were able to achieve, then I wanted to get her on and share this content with you guys. And just to be totally transparent, I am an affiliate of Fluencer Fruit. So if you do sign up through the link, I mean, you will get a discount. I'll get a small affiliate commission. It helps pay for my coffee. I need coffee to keep going. It helps, keeps the light on and creating this free content for all of you guys. So definitely check that out. Okay. Excellent. I see we have a question in the chat. Liz, should we go into Q&A now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, excellent. So Oksana had a question. What kind of products do you usually work with, Liz?
That's a great question. So I would say we work with everything we've done, minus we haven't done clothing just yet, but we've done belts, we've done conceal and carry, we've done grocery, we've done baby, we've done pet. Yeah. So we're kind of like all over. The nice thing about influencer, as opposed to trying to find an affiliate to work with, when you're looking at affiliates, you want to make sure that their offsite niche aligns with what product you have, right? So like you don't want a toddler mom influencer necessarily to be creating your content for your conceal and carry belt, right? Like that's maybe not like her audience. But with Amazon influencers, because people find our content where they're shopping, we don't necessarily have to have a niche that we stick to. So I create content for anything that I buy on Amazon. And then people just find me when they're shopping. So I don't yet have a usual. We've just kind of like worked with anybody and everybody. We worked with phone cases. Yeah, we have kind of a eclectic collection of Amazon sellers.
Interesting. It's almost like you're cooking something and this is like the spice that you add on top to kind of like, make it sizzles or make it sing some more, right?
Yeah.
It kind of amplifies the conversion rate and, to see that. Okay. I think my OtterBot is putting out some action items, so please disregard that.
Well, I don't know. Everybody has a checklist now.
Yeah, everyone has a checklist. Okay, I think we do have a transcript there. Okay, Marissa had a question. My company sells pet products. Is there a search feature that would let me find influencers that review dog products?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, there's not a great way to do that. It's not like you can't come to Amazon here and look for dog product influencers. You can't even search for, like, if I type in the name of my storefront here, it returns nothing, right? So even if it brings up apparently somebody else's books. But so even if you know the name of that, what I would do, Marissa, is I would come here and look at influencers who are creating pet content. So I just picked dog beds here. But I would come and look and see what influencers are already doing pet products. So again, like I'm just clicking in here, and underneath, these are the brand videos. These are all influencers. I would just click through here and see if you find an influencer that you think resonates with your brand, because you know what kind of dogs they have, or you can go look at pet products, but you can already see like what kind of pet content that creator has created in the past.
Okay, excellent. And Oksana had a question. I had an influencer reaching out to me and creating a video review eventually, and it was horrible. Do we have any say in terms of publishing that video?
So unfortunately, not unless, so I'm going to split this into two pieces. With an influencer reaching out to you, then yes, I would lay out terms for those conversations. So for example, if you are working with me, I will guarantee that we'll have quality, and that if one of my influencers feels like they can't say anything nice, then they will send the product back, or we will just find a different influencer, like whatever that is, right? So that's one piece. Like if you're working directly with them, they should basically like work with you if it's horrible. If it's just somebody who finds your product and creates a horrible video review, unfortunately, you do not have any say over that. So technically, without a contract of any sort, there's not a way to really enforce if it's horrible. So, and I'm really sorry that that happened. Like, that's one of the reasons that I pretty heavily vet the influencers that work in our agency, is just to make sure that we maintain that level of quality.
Okay, excellent. And next question from Darren. How do these influencers typically get paid? Is it strictly commission and free product, or are there additional charges?
That's a great question. So if they find you and they are passively like creating content for you, they make between 1% and 4% commission if somebody watches their video and then makes a purchase. If you find them, there are a couple different ways that people do this. One is product, right? I'm not a super huge fan of just swapping product for content, because the influencer has to claim the product as income. You know, depending on how many sales there are for the product, they may not make even enough to cover their taxes. So like, I usually, if I'm coaching on the influencer side, just transparently coach people not to take just product, but there are influencers who will do shoppable content in exchange for the product. Some of them have a fee. There are agencies that will do basically like an add-on to your commission. So like using your referral bonus to add ongoing commission to what the influencer is doing. The way I do it, and this is just because it works for my personality, is we do a one-time fee per influencer video for the seller. And I consider it like an investment in your A+ brand registry content for optimizing your product listing. And so there are a couple different ways. There's not really an industry standard at this point, because quite honestly, it's just incredibly new.
Okay, excellent. And Joe asks, know how to find an influencer that does horse tack with a real horse, perhaps?
Yeah, that's
I
a
don't
great
even know what that
question.
is. Yeah.
I know. I actually would come look at horse products and see if you can find influencers. Let's see, this one has, I would come see if you can find people doing influencer content already on horse products. Where did that lower carousel go there? Okay. So this is an influencer on this lead rope. I don't know if she has a real horse, but you can click through some of these and see if they have, this is an influencer and they have a real horse.
Yeah.
So I would just basically go look at horse products on Amazon and just look through these like videos for this product and find influencers there.
I think like a horse influencer would be in high demand, right? There's like supply and demand, very little supply of real, people with real horses. So
Yeah.
that could be, if you do have a horse, that could be a good side hustle, right? With
Yeah, right.
you could corner the market on that. Okay. All right, excellent. Oksana says, great tips. Thank you. Rachel says, have to go, but this was super informative. Thank you guys so much for the tips. Thank you, Rachel. Definitely check out the replay if you miss anything at the end.
Yep.
Okay. We just have a few minutes left. I had a couple other questions. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop in the chat now. All right. Liz, so does this work for international marketplaces? I believe you said Canada has opened up just recently.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen just so that
Yeah.
we don't need that anymore. But
Mhm.
so really interesting. This was within the last 2 or 3 weeks. Up to this point, shoppable videos and oh good. Casey says, I have a scheduled call with you. Excellent. Looking forward to it. Shoppable videos were only available on the .com. And then like 3 weeks ago, all of a sudden, every international marketplace that has an influencer program opened up shoppable videos. And so like they expanded internationally with the seller programs, I imagine is how they're going to expand internationally with the influencer programs. So now you have shoppable videos on all of them, but you don't have on-site placement yet. So Gary, you and I have been talking about Japan. I actually now have, after our last conversation, an influencer account in Japan. I have 4 videos uploaded. They're all published, but Japan doesn't yet have on-site placement. Only so far outside of Amazon.com, only Canada's marketplace has the on-site placement, and they're actually rolling it out category by category right now. So in Canada right now, we're seeing like home goods, cleaning goods. I have a product that I work with called a Lion Latch. It's like a little hold your rings holder. I have an on-site placement with that listing, but it's not universal. So some of the pet products in Canada is starting to get on-site placement, but it's super, super early there. Canada is the only one yet, but I imagine it's going to grow. So I just kind of have fingers crossed that by early spring, we've got Japan placement as well.
Very interesting. Okay. Julie asked, can the influencer shoppable videos be downloaded and repurposed for use elsewhere? Would it be allowed to use them on our own website, etc.?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that, actually, because we get this a lot. You can, if you have negotiated that with the Amazon influencer. So without talking to them, the answer is no, because they maintain ownership of that copyright. So without negotiating copyright approval from the content creator, you cannot download it and repurpose it. But what I'll tell you is most influencers really want to work with sellers. So if you find one on your product listing, you're like, I love this, I would go to that storefront, reach out to that influencer and ask them if they would be willing to sell you copyrights to that video. The other nice thing is then you can get the actual video as opposed to a downloaded copy from Amazon. Are there ways to do that? Yes, the quality is not great. And again, you're really breaking terms of service and copyright stuff if you pull it without their permission.
Yeah, excellent. That's great to know. Okay, we're just about out of time, guys. Liz, I wanted to thank you again for your time today, and best way to connect with you again, can you tell us?
Absolutely. Connect with me, liz@fluencerfruit.com. Happy to answer questions. Oh, good. Julie booked a call as well. Or book a call through the site, through the fluencerfruitconnect.com/8020. But thanks for having me. Thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yes, perfect. And last question before we go, Liz, I'm all about the 80-20 rule. So if you were to kind of distill down everything you taught us today, what would be the #1 recommendation that you recommend people do to take advantage of this Amazon influencer program?
Absolutely. I think the very first thing that I would do is, if you don't yet have a product video on your product listing, go do that immediately. It helps organically attract influencers. And when you proactively start working with us, it is what creates that magical upper carousel. So that would be probably like the bulk of your work is going to be to go create that so that when we work together, your product listing is set up for success.
Excellent. All right. So this just gave people homework to do, guys. If you haven't already, please create that product video that will unlock the magical upper carousel, and definitely consider booking a call with Liz as well. All right. So thank you again, Liz. Super informative. I learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else did too. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We will see you guys at the next session. Bye, everybody.
Bye, all.